prayer since we're here today. Look at all the people we have today. It's pretty awesome. So stand up and let's say a prayer together. And then we'll start with our song that we've been doing, that we've been working on. All right, so let's bow our heads. All right, dear Lord, thank you for the chance for us to be together again to learn about your Son, Jesus Christ. Please help us to always walk in his ways and help others every day. Amen. All right, kids, awesome. All right, so here we go. Now, our song is on our faith formations. So our song, Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, it's on our faith formations page on Facebook. So if your parents are on Facebook, you could go on Facebook and they could find a song for you, and you could listen to it at home and practice it. I think we're going to try to do this at church on October 18th and see if we can teach the whole congregation the moves to the song. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, so let's review over our movements. All right. Good morning, Pastor James. All right. So, Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. Right? I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. Right? So let's try that together. So, Lord, I lift your name on high. Right? Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. All right, awesome, very good. All right, let's try that one more time. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. Very good. So that is for the verse part of the song. That's the part that tells the story. The chorus part goes like this. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Awesome, guys. Very good. Let's do it one more time, all right? So, Lord, I lift your name on high. I'm so glad to sing your praises. Is that right? I think I just did it wrong. All right, try again, guys. I'm sorry. All right, so, Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Oh, that looks pretty good. Wow, we have a lot of participants out there. That's pretty awesome. All right, let's try it together with the music.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us, save us. You came
Sunday morning. Isn't it fun? Yay, so much fun. Good job, guys. All right, here we go. On to our Sunday school lesson.
Okay, you guys can sit down. So this morning's scripture is Genesis 8:20 to 22 and 9:12 to 17. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remain, seeded and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, and I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. So as I was working on my lesson yesterday, I couldn't help but notice the rain. We haven't had rain in a while, and I don't know if any of you have plants outside. Some of my trees were prematurely turning yellow because it was so dry. We just had a mum fundraiser. We got some mums, and they were starting to dry. I had to water them. So yesterday, the rain was welcome. Did anyone find a rainbow in the sky yesterday? I looked for one. I didn't see one. But when they use the term covenant in the scripture, that is a promise, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So Noah and his family and all the animals had been in the ark for a very long time. And even though I know the story of Noah's ark, I think I forgot exactly how many days they were in there. But Noah, his sons, and their wives had worked hard caring for the animals and for one another. The rain had stopped, but all around the ark was water. There was not a spot of land or the top of a tree to be seen. Can you imagine that? Being on a boat and not being able to see anything but water. We're so used to seeing ground and trees. So God sent a warm breeze to help the water dry up. Slowly, the waters began to get lower and lower. And one day, Noah decided to see if there was any dry land outside. He opened a window and sent out a bird called a raven. So why do you think he might have done that? Why do you think he might have sent a bird out? Anyone have guesses? The raven flew back and forth until the floodwaters dried up. Next, he sent out a dove. Does anyone know what a dove symbolizes? Well, what color is a raven? Does anyone know what color a raven is? Have you ever seen a raven? Kind of looks like a crow. It's a black bird. When God sent out the dove, what color is a dove? White, right? So, and what does a dove symbolize? Does anyone know? When we usually see a dove, what do we think of? Julian? Peace, right? So the dove returned because she couldn't find a place to land. So that told them it was still covered by water. So Noah waited 7 days and sent out the dove again. She came back, but this time she held an olive leaf in her beak. So what did that tell them? If she was able to find an olive leaf, the waters must have receded enough that they could see foliage. Noah knew that the water had gone down. He waited another 7 days, and he sent out the dove again, and this time she did not return. Not long after that, Noah opened the cover of the ark and saw that the ground was almost dry. God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark with your family and the animals." Can you imagine what a happy day that must have been to come out of that ark with all the animals? It was so good to see dry land, a beautiful blue sky, and the sun. And at last, Noah and his family walked on solid ground again. It was good for all the animals to be able to run and play in the grass. When everyone was out, Noah and his family worshiped God and thanked him for taking care of them during the flood. Then God made a promise to Noah, and this is God's promise to Noah. God said, "I will never again destroy the earth with a flood. I am putting a rainbow in the sky as a reminder of my promise." God placed a beautiful rainbow in the sky, and every time Noah and his family saw one, they were reminded of God's promise. So when you see rain again and you see a rainbow, think of that covenant. The rainbow reminds us of the same thing, that God will never again destroy the earth with a flood. And one of the things that I was able to find about the ark is that Noah, his family, and the large number of animals, they were aboard the ark for 150 days when the large ship finally rested on the mountains of Ararat. And it made me think when I was preparing this, that's probably about how long we've been in a pandemic, right? So we've been in a pandemic about as long as Noah and his family were in the ark. Mount Ararat had two major peaks, the higher of which is 17,000 feet above sea level. So think of how much water must have been there if they couldn't even see that. The ark had rested, but the waters were still high. Noah had to wait another 220 days for the waters to go down enough so they could exit. So in my head, I added that up. 150 days they were aboard the ark, and then they had to wait another 220 days. That's about a year, right? That's 370 days. This is a leap year. We have 366. So they were on board that ark until they could go on dry land for about a year. And the last thing before we get into our craft is a model. The other thing that I find fascinating about the ark story is the size of the ark. And I know there's a place, I want to say it's in Ohio, I forgot to look it up, but they built a replica of the ark that is supposed to be to scale. I know I would love to go see that because sometimes we think about it just being a big boat. But maybe we don't have a perspective of exactly how big that boat is. I know I've put together some model kits before. How many of you have put together Legos, right? That's pretty small. And how about you guys? I know your grandfather likes to put together some models. What does he put together? Model cars. I've seen him do some planes, right? He puts model planes together and then he flies them. So we're familiar with putting model kits together. But could you imagine if these were your instructions? If I told you to build a boat that was 450 feet long, that's long. Have you ever been to a football game and seen the track at a football game? Well, that's 100 yards, which is how many feet? Those of you who know your conversions in math. Noah? 300. And this is 450 feet long. So that would probably be too big to fit in a football stadium. And it was 75 feet wide. I'm not sure how wide a football field is, but that's probably double the width of a football field. It might be 50, so this is like a lot bigger than that. And 45 feet high. That's about 5 stories. If you've ever been in a 5-story building, it's about that high. Do you think you could put a kit together? Now, you've put together Legos and you've put together cars and planes. I don't know about you, but I don't think I can put a kit together that's so big it would exceed the size of a football stadium. I know for me, I would probably say, no way, that's bigger than a football field. How could I possibly build anything that big? And that's what happened with Noah. And every time I hear that story, I kind of feel like I learned something new about it. And God looked down on the world he created and saw how mean and evil people had become. And it broke his heart to see the way people were acting. But Noah was different. And God saw that Noah was a good man. So he told Noah about his plan to send a great flood to destroy the earth. And Noah was to build a big boat called an ark. And God told Noah exactly how to build it. And I just read you those dimensions. And then he told Noah, after he had built the ark, to fill it with animals, 2 of every kind. And Noah obeyed God. He built the boat and he put 2 of every kind of animal into it. Could you imagine being on a board of a boat so big it exceeds the size of a football field for over a year and having to take care of every kind of animal on earth? Noah and his family entered the ark and God shut the door. Rain began to fall, raindrops made puddles, puddles made bigger puddles, they turned into streams and rivers and mighty seas until the whole earth was covered with water. Does anyone know how many days and nights it rained for? Anyone want to guess? Pastor James knows, of course he knows. It was 40 days and 40 nights until the rain stopped. Now, I don't know about you, but yesterday it probably rained really hard for 40 minutes, and I was about sick of that. So 40 days and 40 nights. And then it took a long time for the waters to go down until they could get out. But the important part of today's story is that God had a plan for Noah's life. He was faithful and obeyed God, and Noah and his entire family were saved. And God has a plan for your life too. He tells us about it in the Bible. Plans to prosper and not harm you, to give you hope and a future. And remember this promise every time you see a rainbow about the covenant between God and creation. Right, so we have a craft to get started on.
If anybody has any offering, there's a basket on that front table. You can put it in there, okay? Thank you.
Are we making rainbows? My assumption is we're making rainbows because we have these beautiful watercolors, and we put out, if you have more, we figured you guys would share your watercolors. There's paintbrushes in there. So when you come over and paint a rainbow. You can add Noah's Ark to it if you want to. If you want crayons, we'll give you crayons to do the bottom to add Noah's Ark. But then I would paint a rainbow with the watercolors and just use your imagination. Okay? All right, guys. So we set up tables. Your family of 4. Okay. 3.
Come on up,
Julian
kids.
over here. You know. Do you want to stay there, Julian? We can do that.
You four girls want to come over there, and how about I three here?
I think
I think she has the 4 girls there, and then Noah, you said Noah.
Now my assumption is that we get to keep, do they get to keep the paints? Yeah, we're going to leave the paints here when we're done because next week we're going to use them for another project, okay? So go ahead and open it. Do you want a pencil to make an art first, or do you want a freehand? Do you want a pencil? You girls want a pencil to try to trace it first? Does anybody else need a pencil at this table? table? No? You don't want to try? Okay. If you need help opening your paints, let us. And there are extra paints if everybody wants their own. We can give you more. No, she has it. Okay. Then you have to get it good and wet. Okay. Here, can I help you? Get in the water. Don't forget, you can't have a rainbow without rain. Don't forget you have to have gray skies and rain. Okay? Do you want more water over here? You guys need it. Is it on your own? I can get another cup of water for you guys. I just didn't want to do it while she was teaching.
Oh.
No, you're good. I just didn't know. Oh, and just for a little. I sing that song all week long. Oh, you love that song? Yeah, it gets in my head.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Have you guys ever seen a double rainbow? Yeah. Yeah, I've seen those a couple times. One time my daughter and I were driving home from school and we saw a rainbow and it ended right in a field we were driving by, so we hopped out of the car and tried to run to the end, but that doesn't work. It keeps moving. Oh, I see you guys, you're adding some orange in here too, right? Nice. Looks good. So after you do orange, what's the next color you're going to try? You're all doing the same thing. Green? Oh, okay.
Let me know if you need water. Here's some extra water. Be careful you don't spill it, okay? We can get you another piece over here. There you go, Suki. See, that one out is beautiful. The neat thing about watercolors is they run together just like a real rainbow. Look at your beautiful picture.
Oh, that looks really nice.
You want another one here? You want to share with Roy G. did. Embedded in my memory.
Do you kids talk about that at school? That red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet? You talk about that? No? So I keep my finger out of the camera, I guess. It helps.
beautiful rainbows. Hello, young lady. Anybody make that rain?
Yeah, that's bold. That's why when she said, did anybody see a rainbow? Well, heck no, the sun wasn't out yesterday anywhere. Not in the city, I know. Not here.
I didn't think it was gonna.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we ripped out our, who's in the last one? Mary. Yeah, she was gonna, I remember she was gonna done that like,
Girls, do you know any songs that have rainbow in them? Somewhere over the rainbow, right? How about fly? There you. That's right. You're right. And what's on the other side?
Oh, there's rain. Now you sun.
Yeah, the colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. How about you guys? Do you know any songs with rainbows over here? The strong silent type over here. Like we don't know any. Yeah.